is it that Dan used to say?
If you're scared of dying, don't be afraid to live.
Hello everyone, and welcome back to another Backlot Banter movie review. My name is Tucker Hazel, and I am joined by my Fall guy, Tanner Dykstra, and today we're here to talk about Fall, a movie you might not have heard of because it seems to have slipped completely under the radar, but we saw it, and we are here to give our thoughts. Brand new movie about two people trapped on top of a tower, and boy howdy is it a long way down. But if you don't want to fall off the face of the earth and you want to slide right into our DMs to talk to us about Fall or anything else at all, you can join our Discord. That link is at the top of the description, and while you're down there, please like this video, subscribe to our channel, and ring the bell because we have a lot of reviews coming, and another one later today. So you're going to want to keep up on all that. But Tanner, we are some of the lucky few that have been granted access to see Fall. No one's talking about this movie.
No, absolutely
no one's
not.
seeing it.
No.
But we did. What do you think about Fall?
Fall is not a good movie, but it's a fun movie, I would say. Me and my friends were having a chuckle fest with this movie, just because it is, it's high stakes, of course, but also this film is quite a low budget sort of thing. They aren't getting A-list big name actors, serious time actors who are maybe good at acting in this thing. So I was having fun with Fall. How about that? And I do have some legitimate good things to say about it. But at the end of the day, it's a not a good movie, but I had a pretty fun time with it.
Yeah, it's interesting. I'm in a similar boat, but I definitely do think I found it a lot better than you did. I think that it's a film that is hit or miss. Sometimes within scenes, sometimes within sentences. It really fluctuates in the moment.
Yeah.
But there are, because of that, I feel it's a very inconsistent film, but I feel like it definitely lands on a more impressive side than I was frankly expecting. I mean, I have sold myself in my own brain and to you and some of our friends as someone who has a weird, irreverent passion for films that take place in very small locations. And this is up there in one of the smallest locations that characters have been trapped in a film scenario. Of course, it's wide open, but they can't really go anywhere. They're going to fall down to their deaths.
Pizza-sized platform, as I
Exactly.
think one of the characters says. Even
Way
though that's
high in the air.
It's a big-ass pizza, if you ask me.
Hey, you can get a big pizza. But I think maybe because of my connection to stories like this that use people putting together what they have in a very small area to try and escape with their lives, I had a lot of fun with this movie. And while I do think that it has very sharp ups and downs, as I said, sometimes very frequently, it evens out to a lot more highs than I was expecting. And I do think that those highs are across the movie in all categories, but the lows are also across the movie in all categories. So that's what I find interesting about this film.
Sure, yeah, and you know what, Tucker? I'll start off with my positive note. Some of the cinematography, some of the direction here is quite solid. Utilizing that small, very limited location, surrounded by this vast openness, to create some interesting shots. And like when they're first climbing up the tower, the way the camera kind of spins up and into it and looks up it, and then spins back down to our characters. That's a good shot. I mean that's just kind of something that stuck out to me. But otherwise, Tucker, something that you brought up was how this film can fluctuate from sentence to sentence.
Yeah.
And that's what brings me to the performances from our two leads here. Who I thought
Virginia Gardner and Grace Caroline Curry.
Thank you, Tucker.
Want to pull that out?
Who I felt were not very good. Just because some of those line readings were laughable, I would say. We were laughing at quite a few of them. I wrote down some of my favorites. And, some...
Line spoilers for Fall.
Yeah, line spoilers for Fall. You could say it's campy or whatever, but I wrote down two of my faves. So when Becky? Is that the character's name?
That's the character we're following. Well,
yes,
of course, we're following both of them for most of the film.
When Becky's climbing up the tower and she gets told by
Hunter,
thank you.
There
Shiloh
are two characters
Hunter.
who have names in this film.
Shiloh
Keep them
Hunter.
straight.
And she gets told, oh, hey, just starting a nursery rhyme or whatever. Becky says, ashes, ashes, we all fall down. Fall? And she literally does that, like, sort of, oh my god, I just said fall, and I think I'm gonna fall. And then when the actual incident happens and their bag, like, gets stuck on, like, a satellite dish or whatever below them, there's a line that's like, oh man, our bag is down there. It has our water and stuff.
Yeah.
There are a number of lines like that.
No, there definitely are, and I think that is the hit or miss nature of this, because I think you're absolutely right when it comes to lines like that. It's like, oh man, that's real on the nose. Oh man, that wasn't very clever. That absolutely should have either been cut or had another pass or done something, another take with the actors, because some of those lines could have been delivered better if they were given more passes, if the actors just were given better direction. But I do think that, again, for me, it's hit or miss. I think there are some moments of dialogue between our two characters that I felt were super genuine and felt like they were friends with their old chemistry and had this tension in areas. I thought there were moments where the dialogue worked. I also thought there were plenty of moments where the acting really worked. And for me, I would not say that either of these are bad actors. And frankly, I was very impressed by the performances in this, because some of those moments where we're getting Becky, turning gaunt after being up in the sky for multiple days, and her voice is weakening, but then she has moments of energy, and they're crying, they're fighting, they're screaming. There's a lot of moments of emotion in this that, frankly, I think both of them absolutely knocked out of the park. And especially some of those physical moments where they're hanging on by one hand or fighting to struggle to hold on to something. Those, I think, are absolutely sold by these two actresses who, frankly, I think both did a great job.
Oh yeah, the survivalism elements are pretty well acted. The guttural screams and stuff like that were solid. I mean, we're solid in those moments. You mentioned earlier how you like see characters when they're stuck in a small space having to stick things together and use things and stuff like that. And there is an element of that I liked in this, but at the same time, I just felt so removed from maybe the stakes, where I found myself, and I don't like doing this in movies, but when a movie doesn't grab me, I do it anywhere. I'm like, that's so stupid. Why are they doing that? Why would you try to? Because there's the thing with the selfie stick and the backpack and whatever. I'm like, why wouldn't you do it this way? And I know it's a movie and they have to create tension, yada yada yada. But at the same time, when I'm not hooked, I find myself sort of sitting back in a different observational platform, and saying like, why are these characters doing this? Why wasn't this written in a more compelling way? I guess. And that might not be particularly fair, but I just found myself doing that.
I also think that the plot is pretty thin, but I think it's thin by intention. This is a low budget movie, and frankly, it's that concept that sells the film and is why the film works. Even if it's not great for you, works as well as it does. You're sold on the idea that these people are trapped way up in the sky, and how the hell are they going to get down? And frankly, even though in my mind, I see this movie, I'm like, these are our characters. They're going to survive. The process of how they're going to get down, or which attempt or which thing will actually end up in success, always kept me on the edge of my seat, because frankly, I had no clue. No clue how they were going to get out of the situation. And frankly, they came up with some pretty clever ways to find ways to get out of the situation or keep themselves alive a little bit longer. And I think because of that, I was never in that moment that you said you were, where I was like, oh, well, why didn't they do this? It felt like a pretty natural progression. There was setups and payoffs, and because of that physicality and the emotion of the characters that personally I felt, I was never sucked out at any particular moment, except for, I think, a few shots where the CGI and the green screen background was pretty shaky. But then again, that's hit or miss. There are some, far away shots of the tower or one silhouette shot of the two of them sitting on the top of the tower. I'm like, wow, this looks fantastic. And there's some drone shots that are really far away. They're always pulling the camera back to show you the scale. And some of them look great. And then some of them look like really shallow depth of field. Like, man, I can tell they're 5 feet above some sort of green screen floor. And it's like, how did it end up being so hit or miss, even from shot to shot?
Yeah. Tuck, you bring up the setups and payoffs, and there are a lot of them in this movie. I can say that. There are basically everything that a character says is a payoff for something later, which I felt was a little hokey. I think, just like really felt like the script was like, well, a character's phone has to die at the beginning of the movie so we can set up the whole charging your phone with the light socket thing, which I don't know if that works, and if it does, it'd probably blow up the light socket, but whatever.
Who knows?
So we can pay it off later, or there's a number of things like that, but that's just like one example that they use. So yeah, some of those setups and payoffs felt very hokey to me.
Sure. I mean, I didn't feel that personally, but I do think I would like to start wrapping this up unless you got other thoughts, because I want to give a score and then I want to talk a little bit about spoilers.
Oh, sure. Yeah, we can wrap it up. I don't know if I have much else to say. Oh, Jeffrey Dean Morgan is in this. I didn't know that. I didn't
See the dad?
Well, I didn't look too closely at the cast list. So when Jeffrey Dean Morgan showed up, like, holy shit, this is Jeffrey Dean Morgan.
He wasn't very good, in my opinion.
No, he wasn't. No.
No. But also he's in it for a minute and a half total.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Tucker, what do you think of this movie?
I'm going to give this movie maybe a little bit lower score than I initially was coming out of the theater, but I still think it's a good movie. It tells its concept very well, and frankly, as we're getting to spoilers, I think there's a twist that bumps the movie up a pretty good margin for me. So I'm going to end up with a 6.7 out of 10.
Yeah, I'm gonna go 4.9. Like I said, not very good IMO, but some solid things about it, and it's not the worst thing I've ever seen. By far, not the worst thing I've seen this year.
No.
And I think it does execute like if you're going in for a movie where you want to see two people trapped on top of a big ass fucking tall tower, that's what you get. That's
Yeah,
what you
and I
fucking
did.
get, baby.
And I did.
Yeah.
But, spoilers, what I didn't expect was a twist near the end, or a couple of small twists in which Hunter's character fell, actually, in,
What?
like halfway through the film, and the rest of what we had been watching was sort of a mind projection delirium moment from Becky, which... in the moment, I thought was like, what the heck? Is this actually happening? Is she having some sort of thirst-delivered weird dream? But they didn't back away from it, which I thought was a good creative choice. And it ended up giving a strangely crazy moment to end the film on, which is her patting the phone to send the final rescuing text in her friend's corpse. And that is a really bold creative choice.
Yeah,
and
pretty
frankly,
dark, pretty morbid.
It worked a lot for me because I felt for a long time I was like, I know exactly how this is gonna end. The text is gonna work somehow, and someone's gonna show up, and boom, they'll be fine. But no, one of them died, and then she had to use her friend's body to send the text. Like, that is really, really bold, and I appreciate it quite a bit.
Like it or not, it is a morbid way to sort of end the film, and it is crazy, quite. And that I certainly, obviously, I didn't see the twist coming at all because it wasn't telegraphed at all in the film. But yeah, I mean, pretty shocking in that regard. I thought the film was going to end because Tucker, you sent me a text saying I can't believe that Fall ended like that. So in my mind, seeing the very basic setup and payoffs. They took out the light at the top of the tower. I thought a plane was going to hit this
I did think
tower.
that something was going to happen in that way, but that would have been crazy.
Yeah, that was the one setup they didn't have the cojones to pay off. They didn't have the I guess probably they didn't have the budget to crash a CGI plane crashing into that tower, I suppose.
They also didn't have the budget to show her rescue, which I think leaves the ending feeling a little bit like time jump because we don't have the budget. And whatever. I mean, I don't think that's the end of the world for me, but it certainly does feel like something was cut for budgetary restraints because of that. But also, boy, it was cut for budgetary restraints. And frankly, that makes a lot of sense considering the scale of movie that they're working with. Having a helicopter go in and drop her down. I don't want that to be CGI. I don't want it to be rushed. Maybe it's okay that they avoided it.
Yeah, I would agree. And it ends with this sort of. This movie, throughout the movie, it's really about facing your fears, overcoming your fears, yada yada yada. But the ending monologue is kind of very strange, where it's like, hey, I went through this traumatic thing because I faced my fears, but hey, sometimes that's what you got to do. You know what I mean? I was like, well, maybe don't do that. Don't take it to that extent.
Or at least face your fears within and this is great advice for you in the audience, face your fears within a safer context and tell people where you're going if you're going off path, and bring proper safety provisions, and don't break into to shaky unsolicited areas.
No.
That's my advice for today.
Yeah. How about those two guys that broke into their car randomly? That was pretty funny.
That was funny. Yeah. I'm like, oh, okay. Oh, they're gonna get saved. No, these guys are just dicks. Okay.
Yeah, they're just dicks.
We saw Fall, and frankly, I think that you should. I think that this movie is going to be overlooked. It is being overlooked as we speak. And I kind of want to just be maybe one of the only people I know singing the praises of Fall, because it delivered on exactly what I wanted it to do. Impressed me in a few categories, disappointed me in others, but also lift me with a twist that I thought was rather bold. And because of that, it's a pretty decent recommend for me. It's not a strong recommend. I wish it was a strong recommend. Patch up some lines, patch up some CGI. I think it would be a very good movie. But as it stands now, I think it's a good movie and is worth seeing. You won't be wasting your time if you go see Fall.
See it for free. That's what I did, and that's what I say you should do.
All right. Well, we will see you guys later for more movie reviews. Hello, everyone. Welcome back. No, not Knack. No, don't welcome Knack.
No. Don't let Knack in your house.
Help.
He's like a vampire.
You have to welcome Knack in order for him to enter your home.
Yes. You have to invite him into your house.
Yeah, very true, very true.